Hello and welcome to a very special reggae flavoured TES Live. My name's Sarah Canane and I'm delighted to be joined in the studio today by none other than Levi Roots. Hello.
Hello.
Levi is a cook, a businessman, a musician and a television personality, and he's just about to embark on a tour of schools called the School of Life Tour. So can you tell us a bit about the tours? How did it come about? What made you decide to set it up?
Well, I decided quite a while ago that I love doing schools, particularly just after Dragons Den, when we found that a large part of the sort of people that watch Dragons Den and like my moment on the show were quite young people, and we used to get a lot of requests from kids just writing in to my website or just ringing my phone and says, Levi, can you come and visit us and do your chat and tell us how you slayed the dragon and so on and so forth. So been doing that for the past sort of 4 years. But I think this time is the first time we've kind of packaged it together and sort of given a theme and a real meaningful initiative for it, and then decided to take it on the road.
And how are you hoping to inspire pupils?
Well, a bit like my story, really, and which is I put the two things that inspired me most of all together and made a business of that. And that's what's been leading my life ever since. And I found to be the best Levi Roots that I can be by using these two things. And I really think they're two of the most useful things that we can have in our lives, which is music and food. Who is not inspired by a bit of music, or is not inspired by something that you eat? As my granny used to say, they're the two most valuable things that there is, because you always get after a party, you always got to eat something. So I've made a life of that, and now I'm saying to kids, they can inspire you too. And if there's any other things that inspires you, maybe my visit or whatever, it could help to sort of bring that out. But my main tools are music and food, and it's great that the government is thinking to bring back compulsory cooking in schools. And this is where I come in, because my experiences of cooking in schools is one that's helped me to write my 6 or 7 books that I've written so far.
So why do you think it's important that kids learn how to cook?
Well, as I said, it's a life skill, and we all know that later on in life is something that we need to have, because those of us that now are adults that can't cook, I'm sure that we wish that we had actually learned, a few recipes, or watch mom and dad in the kitchen, as they did their thing. And my thing is to try and to help to give kids a voice, to have that choice, to be able to, to say to mom or dad, I do know a few things, mom or dad, can you include something special for me, something a little bit that I've learned at school about healthy eating and about, how to know about where the food comes on and so on and so forth. So it's really going directly to the kids, as I do, talking to them personally and trying to sort of help to give them a voice in the kitchen and at meal times.
And you're sort of talking about going in and sort of hopefully inspiring the pupils. Who inspired you when you were at school?
Well, the story is well, written about my grandmother, who, brought me up, because my parents left Jamaica when I was a boy, and as all grandparents did back then, was to look after the charges until your parents could afford, to get a job, buy a house, and then send for the children one at a time. And being the youngest of the lot, I got to spend the longest time with her, because, I was one of the last to actually come over to this country. So, and it was those crucial years that, I was so thankful, yes, that I spent with her, and, got that, what we in Jamaica call the grounding teaching, the stuff that you learn from the age of sort of 4 or 5 up until like 12, 13. They are things that stayed with you right throughout your life. You never forget them. And I was so grateful that I got to spend it with my grandmother. So I would say that she's my biggest influence when it comes to both music and food.
And what were your own experiences of school like?
Terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And the reason for that was, again, because we came from a very poor family. And being the youngest of the lot, I couldn't go to school, they couldn't afford to send me to school. So by the time I came to this country at the age of sort of 11 and a half, 12, I perhaps couldn't even spell my own name because I'd never gone to school or never had any education at all. My poor grandmother, who was left in charge of 6 children, she was just more worried about putting food on the table and creating something out of nothing, which she was brilliant at doing, which is how my cooking style has become, that I don't have to have a lot of things to create some kind of recipe, because that's how my grandmother did it. But I never went to school, so eventually when I did come to this country and got into school, straight in at the deep end at the age of 12. Found it difficult to sort of handle the whole situation, because there I was trying to be too cool on one side, because you can either be the nerd or you can be the cool guy. And unfortunately, at that time, I chose to be the cool guy. So I didn't focus enough at school. You know, but my mom, she noticed that, and she decided to juggle up things. So when I left school, which really I was really at play when I was in school, because I didn't really pay much to it. I tried to be too much of the sort of cool country boy, to try to mask my embarrassment of not being up there with everyone else. And my mom just sort of took up the charge and decided to educate me when I came home from school. And I've got to say, I actually learned in everything that I learned from my granny from my early age, and then my mom, you know, from the age of sort of 12 growing up until I left school.
And you've said before that cookery and music go hand in hand.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, as a Jamaican person, and you know, it's strange, but the radio or the gramophone, or as it was back then, in you know, when I was a boy, is always on in the house in a Caribbean household. You know, music is just something that takes over your whole life. Everyone from your born, in Jamaica they say you're born singing, because you're born crying as the minute you get that slap and you start wailing. It's a note on perhaps like a C sharp or something like that. So music is within the blood of all Caribbean people, particularly Jamaicans, who, you know, as I said, I think we are the greatest small island in the world, because we have our own religion in Rastafari and our own music in reggae, which, you know, Bob Marley is taking that music to influence the whole world. And that's what inspires me. So when I say put music in food, I'm talking about my experiences, because when I'm in the kitchen, I treat my recipes as if like I'm creating a piece of music, because the ingredients are the same as the notes that you would do when you're creating a song. For me anyway, because to create a song, you know, you need your high and your low notes, and it's the same within recipes when you're creating it. You know, you need your essence and your flavors and so on and so forth. You know, you need your thyme and your chilies to bring you up, and then you bring, you know, your sort of creams to bring you down. So I've always kind of fashioned it in that way. So, you know, when I decided to come with the brand and call the sauce reggae sauce, it really was saying I wanted to put my experiences of a lover of music and into the sauce, and hopefully when people enjoy the sauce, they will feel that same vibe that I say it's there. You know, they can feel it as well, and I think people have been doing that.
I've got some questions from a teacher, Emma Mulgrew. Hello, if you're watching.
Hello, Emma.
She wants to ask about your experiences as a businessman in particular.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are watching who may not know, though I don't think there's anyone left in the country who doesn't know your story, Levi successfully traversed the Dragon's Den and came out with funding for his reggae
I like that
sauce.
word, traversed.
Yes.
Yes.
like a warrior. What was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome when you set up your business?
Oh, I think it was that mainstream factor, wasn't it? To overcome that is to trying to think mainstream, because at the time Caribbean sauces was literally unheard of, and if you walked into a local supermarket, you know, the sauce section in the aisle would be just about that small with a few brands in it. But now, you know, it takes up a whole corner. But what I wanted to do was to create a mainstream sauce, you know, that would be enjoyed by the whole country and not just Caribbean people. So I think that was the main hurdle to overcome, is how do you transform that, something that's is so, you know, predominantly Caribbean, for mainstream people that don't know anything about it. There isn't Caribbean restaurants, so people at the time in 2004 and 5 didn't really understand the flavors of what Scotch bonnet peppers is and what pimento and all these kind of things that I now write in my books. So I think the challenge was to kind of give it that twist from it being something that was just that you could get locally to a sauce that wherever you are, you can understand the flavors and you want more. And it wasn't that strange at all. Because you can get Caribbean ingredients here if you know what to look for. So it was all about education, and I think we did that because my appearance on TV just kind of took, you know, my ideas to the mainstream people all in one go. And of course, writing my books has allowed people to actually follow the recipes and educate themselves about what Caribbean food is about.
And what advice would you give young people who maybe want to set up a business, especially in such a difficult environment as we're seeing at the moment?
Yeah, well, part of the problems that I had when I started out, you know, with the idea to sort of form the business, was that I didn't really know what I was doing because I thought I did. I think we all think that we know what the right thing is, but there's always comes a time when you need to admit that perhaps, you know, you need to get somebody else on board. And it's only the brave will do that. But the braves are the ones that go on to make great successes, because that's when you bring somebody that knows more than you in, and you admit that perhaps, you know, because I'm Dragons, then I think most people will see that when I got to the point of singing the song and I was like the cool Levi Roots, the rock star, the reggae star, the musician. when it came to the numbers, you saw it, yeah. But then again, when Richard Farley said to me, Levi, do you think you're going to need a little bit of help in that direction? I didn't fight it. I didn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I held my hands up and I said, yeah, I can make a great sauce. I'm fantastic, you know, with my music. But yeah, you know, I've come here to look for assistance to do with that. And that's what it's about. My best advice would be to get a mentor on board, is to get somebody that will be able to drive your business and help to make you the perfect businessman, because you're not yet. That's what you want to be. But you're going to need somebody to help you to actually get you there. So I said, get a mentor. Crucial.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited that there's going to be a brief transformation. It will be magical. And Levi's going to give us a taster of the School of Life tour. Just before we do that, if schools do want to get in touch about getting you in for the School of Life tour, how would they do that?
And check me on my website, and it's quite easy. It's www.reggae-reggae.co.uk.
Excellent. I don't think you need to include the wink, but I definitely would. So yes, now presenting Levi Roots and the School of Life tour.
As it was, and put it all together like a jigsaw puzzle does, we can rise above. Hey, hello there. It's me, Levi Roots, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about my tour called the School of Life tour. Why School of Life? Well, I think that there's some essential information that we need to take us through our lives after we've left school. And part of that is cooking and music, of course. I think that we all know these are the two tools that took me onto success and made my brand a fantastic brand. And I'm so proud that I can now stand here and say to you that if I can help, then I'm here and I'm coming to a school near you with my School of Life tour. And what is it about, I hear you ask? Well, it's about cooking. I think cooking or creating flavors is one of the most important things that you will need on your way. These are the sort of life skills that you'll be so proud that you've learned it from an early age. And I think that I may have a few ideas to help you. Music. Well, I think that we're all inspired by music. All of us. We all have that moment in the bathroom when we've got our hairbrush and we're singing away and we're doing our thing and we think that nobody is watching, you know. And that's what inspiration is about. It inspires you to sort of come out of yourself. And I've used it, you know, throughout my life. I've called my brand Reggae Sauce because it's one of my greatest inspiration. So if you are out there and you do want to be inspired, then give me a call. Link me up on my website, www.reggae-reggae.co.uk, and I'll be at a school near you with my music and life story. Respect.